Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a culinary and even cosmetic staple that's seeing a real revival: beef tallow. We're talking about rendered cattle fat, especially the high-quality suet. For generations, this was a go-to ingredient, not just for cooking incredible meals, but also for crafting essentials like soap and candles.
It's fascinating to witness this renewed interest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Beef tallow is appearing in modern kitchens as a prized cooking medium, and surprisingly, it's also gaining traction in the world of skincare.
Absolutely. So, you wanted the full story on beef tallow, the real deal. Think of this as your fast track to becoming an expert. We're going to explore the evidence, the actual benefits it offers, any genuine downsides to be aware of, and how it measures up against all the other fats and products vying for our attention.
Right.
The information we've gathered covers everything from its performance in the frying pan to its effects on our skin, and even how it should be properly packaged. Looking to get informed quickly and thoroughly. You've come to the right place. Let's dive in.
Okay, so research indicates that the fat composition of tallow is quite unique. Typically around 50% saturated fat, about 42% monounsaturated fat, and a relatively small amount, approximately 4%, of polyunsaturated fats. This balance of fats, especially the lower polyunsaturated content, is quite different from many modern vegetable oils and contributes significantly to its stability, which is, well, a key factor in its resurgence as people look for more traditional and less processed options.
Okay, let's unpack this. How does this specific fat breakdown influence how we can use tallow, especially in the kitchen?
Well, one crucial aspect is its high smoke point, which generally sits around 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius.
That's pretty high.
It is. And this is really important for cooking because it means you can achieve high heat without the fat breaking down and potentially producing undesirable or even harmful compounds.
Yeah.
Think of oxidation like how metal rusts or an apple turns brown.
Right.
In fats, this process can create nasty flavors and potentially harmful compounds. Tallow's fat structure makes it more resistant to this breakdown at high heat.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because when you consider many of the industrial seed oils we hear about, there seems to be a fundamental difference in their processing compared to tallow, right?
Precisely. Traditional beef tallow is a very natural and minimally processed fat. It's essentially just rendered fat. Many seed oils, on the other hand, undergo extensive industrial processes that can involve high heat, chemical solvents, deodorization, the works.
So, going beyond its ability to handle high heat, what are the concrete advantages we should know about when it comes to using tallow?
Several benefits come to mind. Its inherent stability, thanks to that lower polyunsaturated fat content we discussed, means it's more resistant to oxidation, giving it a longer shelf life compared to many of those seed oils we just mentioned. Research has also highlighted that tallow is a natural source of several fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K2, which are vital for various bodily functions, from maintaining healthy bones to supporting cardiovascular health.
Vitamins in cooking fat, that's a valuable bonus you don't always associate with it. Are there any other noteworthy upsides?
Yes. Tallow contains conjugated linoleic acid, or CLA.
CLA, right.
While the research is evolving, the presence of CLA in a readily available cooking fat is an interesting area. Especially given the focus on its potential metabolic benefits, it's another layer of nutritional complexity beyond just the basic fat profile.
Okay.
Some studies suggest CLA may have benefits related to fat loss and reducing inflammation. And from a culinary standpoint, many cooks find that tallow imparts a rich, savory flavor to food, particularly when used for frying or in classic traditional recipes.
That deep, satisfying flavor.
It reminds me of an old cookbook I was looking through that listed tallow as a primary cooking fat. It's fascinating to see that full circle moment.
That deep, comforting richness in food. And I've also come across the idea that using tallow is a more responsible approach.
Exactly. Utilizing tallow is a sustainable practice because it's a natural byproduct of meat production. It's a way to ensure that more of the animal is used, which aligns with a, nose-to-tail philosophy.
Okay, so it's painting a pretty positive picture so far. But let's be realistic. Are there any potential downsides or concerns we need to keep in mind?
Certainly. The most commonly raised concern is its relatively high saturated fat content, around 50%.
Right, the saturated fat debate.
Exactly. While the direct connection between dietary saturated fat and heart disease is a complex and ongoing area of research, some individuals may experience an increase in their LDL cholesterol levels with higher saturated fat intake.
Okay.
It's also obviously not a suitable choice for anyone following a vegan or vegetarian diet.
That's a clear point of exclusion. What else should we consider?
Well, like any fat, tallow is calorie-dense, so overconsumption can contribute to weight gain if not balanced with overall caloric intake. And this is an important distinction. The quality of the tallow matters. If it comes from conventionally raised cattle, there's a potential, though likely small, for trace amounts of hormones or pesticides to be present in the fat.
Ugh.
Opting for tallow sourced from grass-fed cattle can help minimize this potential exposure. Finally, while many appreciate the distinct beefy flavor, it can be a drawback if you're looking for a cooking fat with a more neutral taste profile.
That makes complete sense. Flavor preferences are definitely a key factor in the kitchen. Now, let's delve a bit deeper into this connection between tallow and our health. We've talked about the presence of vitamins, but what else does the research indicate regarding its impact on our well-being?
Research suggests that the vitamins E and A found in tallow can be beneficial for skin health, which explains its use in certain skincare preparations.
Right, the skincare angle.
The high-fat content can also contribute to increased satiety, helping individuals feel fuller for longer after meals, which can play a role in regulating hunger signals.
Okay.
Furthermore, tallow contains butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that is known to support the health of the gut lining.
Okay.
And as we discussed earlier, when compared to many processed seed oils, tallow avoids the industrial refining processes, the potential presence of trans fats, and the formation of harmful oxidation byproducts at high temperatures.
So it's being presented as a more natural and perhaps less problematic alternative to some modern fats. But let's revisit those potential health risks just to be absolutely clear for our listeners.
The primary concern continues to be the saturated fat content and its potential effect on LDL cholesterol levels, although, as we've noted, the strength of the causal link to heart disease is still a subject of ongoing debate within the scientific community.
Right. It's not settled science.
Not entirely. Its calorie density is also a factor to be mindful of, and it would not be an appropriate choice for individuals following a strict low-fat diet for specific health reasons.
Okay, let's shift our focus a bit and examine how tallow compares to some of the other cooking oils that many of us regularly use. Let's begin with olive oil. Given these potential benefits and drawbacks, it naturally leads us to wonder how tallow compares to the cooking oils many of us already have in our pantry. Let's start with olive oil.
Okay, olive oil typically has a lower smoke point compared to tallow, particularly the extra virgin varieties.
Right.
Its fat composition is predominantly monounsaturated. Extra virgin olive oil is often minimally processed, frequently just cold-pressed, and it's well regarded for its antioxidant content and its vitamin E and K1 levels.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, health concerns associated with olive oil are low, and it's often featured in heart-healthy dietary patterns. Tallow excels in high-heat cooking scenarios, whereas olive oil is best suited for lower-heat applications and for its specific health-promoting compounds.
What about coconut oil, which has also experienced a significant rise in popularity in recent years?
Coconut oil has a smoke point that is generally similar to that of olive oil. However, its fatty acid profile is overwhelmingly saturated fat.
Very high sat fat, yeah.
Very high. The processing of coconut oil can vary from virgin, which is less processed, to refined. It is also quite stable due to its high saturated fat content and contains vitamins E and K. Similar to tallow, the primary health concern surrounding coconut oil relates to its high saturated fat content.
So similar concerns there.
Right. So while both tallow and coconut oil share high levels of saturated fat and good stability at medium-high heat, their other fatty acid compositions and the flavors they impart are quite different.
And what about those very common canola and soybean oils that are found in so many kitchens?
These oils usually have a smoke point that is comparable to tallow, especially in their refined forms. However, their fat composition is significantly higher in polyunsaturated fats, particularly omega-6 fatty acids.
We omega-6 too.
Yes. They also undergo extensive industrial processing, often involving chemical solvents like hexane and bleaching.
Right, not exactly minimal processing.
Not at all. While some may be fortified with synthetic vitamins, their high polyunsaturated fat content makes them more susceptible to oxidation, and the high omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in many Western diets is a potential area of health concern for some individuals.
Because of inflammation, right?
Exactly. Many modern diets tend to be higher in omega-6 fats compared to omega-3s, and some research suggests an imbalance might contribute to inflammation. Tallow offers a different fatty acid profile that doesn't exacerbate this potential imbalance in the same way.
Okay.
Given its less intensive processing and greater stability at high temperatures, tallow is often considered a preferable option compared to these highly processed industrial seed oils.
So it really boils down to understanding your cooking needs and your individual dietary considerations when choosing between these fats. Now, I've noticed whipped beef tallow becoming more prevalent. What exactly is that? Is it simply tallow that has been whipped?
Precisely. Whipped beef tallow is just that regular beef tallow that has undergone a whipping process to incorporate air. This results in a lighter, more airy texture, quite similar to whipped butter or a thick cream.
Okay, so the main difference is the texture. Does this change how it's used in any significant way?
It can influence its applications. In the kitchen, the whipped texture makes it easier to spread, for example, on a piece of bread, or to coat vegetables before roasting.
Ah, I can see that.
And in skincare, it creates a smoother, more easily spreadable balm that many find absorbs more readily into the skin for moisturizing.
Interesting. So you're still getting all the inherent benefits of tallow, just with a different feel.
Exactly. It retains the same nutritional profile as regular tallow, so those beneficial vitamins A, D, E, and K2 are still present. The whipping process solely alters its physical consistency.
Now, we've discussed tallow's place among general seed oil alternatives, but let's get a bit more specific. Aside from olive and coconut oil, how does tallow stack up against options like avocado oil or ghee?
Good question. Avocado oil, particularly the expeller-pressed varieties, boasts a very high smoke point, sometimes even exceeding that of tallow.
Wow.
Its fat composition is predominantly monounsaturated. The processing is typically minimal. Health risks associated with avocado oil are generally considered low. Ghee, which is clarified butter, also has a high smoke point, although it might be slightly lower than some refined avocado oils. It is primarily composed of saturated fat. The clarification process removes milk solids, making it a suitable option for some individuals with dairy sensitivities.
Right.
Both avocado oil and ghee are good alternatives to many seed oils, but tallow offers a distinct fatty acid profile and a unique flavor. Additionally, high-quality avocado oil can often be more expensive than well-sourced tallow.
And we keep coming back to this question of why someone might actively choose tallow over those highly processed omega-6 rich seed oils. Let's reiterate the core reasons behind that preference.
Yeah, the primary reasons are tallow's natural minimal processing compared to the often harsh chemical extraction and refinement methods used for many seed oils.
Right.
Its inherent stability at high cooking temperatures reduces the risk of producing harmful oxidation products.
Stability is key.
Absolutely. And its nutritional density, providing those valuable fat-soluble vitamins, is another key factor. Furthermore, for some, the traditional use of tallow and the ethical consideration of utilizing a whole animal byproduct are also important drivers.
Let's switch gears slightly. Now, this resurgence of tallow isn't limited to the kitchen, is it? It's also making a comeback in skincare routines. What's driving this trend?
Well, research suggests several compelling reasons for tallow's increasing popularity in skincare. Its fatty acid profile is remarkably similar to that of human skin lipids.
Oh, interesting.
Making it very biocompatible, meaning it's easily absorbed and well tolerated by the skin. It's also a rich source of those beneficial vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are known for their skin healing, moisturizing, and potentially anti-aging properties. And surprisingly for a fat, many people find that high-quality tallow is non-comedogenic, meaning it doesn't tend to clog pores like some plant-based oils can.
So what types of skincare products are we seeing that incorporate tallow?
You'll commonly find moisturizing balms that often combine tallow with essential oils for added scent and therapeutic benefits, traditional tallow-based soaps that are known for their gentle and nourishing properties, and even lip balms formulated to provide deep hydration.
Lots of options.
Yeah. And as our sources indicate, there's also a growing trend of individuals making their own DIY tallow skincare products at home, using rendered tallow as a base ingredient.
Interesting. It sounds like a return to simpler, more traditional, and perhaps more natural ingredients for skin health. Now, before we conclude our deep dive, there's a really crucial aspect that our research highlights and that I think is frequently overlooked: the packaging of beef tallow. Why is this something we should be paying close attention to?
This is a very important consideration, Many commercially available beef tallow products, particularly the more budget-friendly options, are packaged in plastic jars or tubs.
Right.
The primary concern here is the potential for harmful chemicals from the plastic, such as phthalates and bisphenol A, BPA, to leach into the tallow, especially over extended periods.
Why is this potential leaching such a significant issue, specifically with fatty substances like tallow?
Because fats can actually facilitate and accelerate the leaching process of these chemicals. Phthalates and BPA are lipophilic,
Meaning fat-loving.
Exactly, fat-loving. So they are more readily soluble in fats than in water-based substances. Consequently, they are more easily absorbed by the tallow. Phthalates, in particular, are known endocrine disruptors.
That sounds bad.
It is. They can interfere with our hormonal systems and have been linked to a range of health concerns, including hormonal imbalances, an increased risk of metabolic disorders, and reproductive health issues. Heat further exacerbates this leaching process, so if tallow stored in plastic is exposed to warmth, the risk of chemical migration increases.
Okay, that's definitely something our listeners need to be aware of. So what would be the safer alternative for packaging beef tallow?
Glass is unequivocally the best option for packaging beef tallow.
Glass, okay.
It is inert, meaning it's non-toxic and will not leach any chemicals into the product, regardless of temperature or storage duration. Glass also provides an excellent barrier against air and moisture, which helps to preserve the freshness and quality of the tallow.
Makes sense.
Additionally, glass is reusable and a more environmentally sustainable choice in the long run. And crucially, for high-fat foods like tallow, glass does not degrade over time when in contact with fats.
So what actionable advice can you offer to someone looking to purchase safe beef tallow?
Firstly, actively seek out brands that specifically package their tallow in glass jars. Some producers are recognizing this concern and are making the switch, often highlighting their use of glass packaging.
Look for the glass jar.
Yes. Secondly, if plastic is the only option available, try to avoid plastics labeled with the recycling codes #3 PVC and #7 other, as these are the most likely to contain phthalates or BPA.
Avoid 3 and 7. Got it.
While BPA-free labels are better than nothing, even these plastics are not ideal for long-term storage of fats. Consider purchasing from local farms or smaller producers, as they may use glass or even metal tins for their products.
Good tip.
And if you do end up buying tallow in a plastic container, a good practice is to transfer it to a clean glass jar at home as soon as possible. Finally, for the most control over both the quality of the tallow and its packaging, rendering your own tallow from high-quality suet and storing it in glass mason jars is the ultimate DIY solution to ensure no plastic contamination.
So the key takeaway message regarding packaging is really glass is the optimal choice. BPA-free plastic might be acceptable for short-term storage, but it's best to steer clear of those cheap, flimsy plastic containers altogether.
Exactly. It's a seemingly small detail, but it can have a significant impact on the overall health benefits and safety of using beef tallow.
Well, this has truly been a deep dive into the world of beef tallow. We've explored its unique composition, the potential benefits it offers for both cooking and even skincare, those important considerations surrounding saturated fat intake, and that critical aspect of proper packaging.
And the evidence certainly suggests that it can be a stable and nutrient-dense fat, particularly when you choose high-quality tallow from reputable sources and ensure it's stored correctly.
So as you reflect on all this information, it prompts the question, how might incorporating or consciously choosing beef tallow align with your individual cooking habits or your personal wellness goals? And what further areas of exploration might spark your interest, perhaps looking into other traditional fats or delving deeper into the often overlooked impact of food packaging on our overall health? Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.